June 28th, 2023. The first phase of the woodcutting expansion Forestry, The Way of the Forester, has been released to OSRS. You may have seen dev updates and videos on some of the changes, but let's burn through all of them here in a quick and simple rundown. There's basically 3 major changes that have been implemented as a result of this expansion. We'll tackle the 2 simple ones first. Change 1 involves modifying the despawn mechanics for trees. Prior to release, trees had a chance to despawn after being cut, with each tree having a different despawn chance. This has been completely reworked now to have trees despawn on a timer, with the despawn rates listed right here. This effectively makes woodcutting more AFK because you can now have a rough idea of how long you can AFK before the tree will despawn. Assuming there isn't one already, I'm relatively sure there's also going to be a Runelite plugin that keeps track of this time for you soon enough, effectively giving you a pretty handy timer to help cutting logs require even less attention. Change 2 involves giving players an invisible boost to woodcutting when chopping at a tree with other players. Basically, for every additional person chopping at a tree you are at, you get a +1 boost to your woodcutting skill. This can stack with up to 10 additional players for a total of a +10 boost to your skill. Considering there are dedicated forestry worlds players can focus on when doing these activities, there's no reason you should miss out on some kind of boost when you're doing these. Jagex has advertised this as a social expansion to the skill, so I'm guessing this was the big highlight of that social part. An important thing to keep in mind for this change is these bonuses don't apply while cutting a normal tree or while in the woodcutting guild, so just be aware of those restrictions. Those are the 2 easy to explain changes, with the third one being much more in depth, which is introduction of the forestry kit. As part of this change, new shopkeepers have been added just south of the bank in Draenor Village and in Sears Village. Talking to one of the friendly foresters, you can purchase a forestry kit for 120 GP, a wearable cape slot item that can store all tools, resources, and gear needed for the items released in the forestry expansion. I'll break this down as best as I can. This kit can hold a large variety of items which can be obtained from either chopping trees or combining items from the new forestry exclusive random events and items purchased from the forestry stores. For chopping trees, every time you chop a tree log with the forestry kit equipped, there's a 1 in 4 chance to get leaves or needles from the tree. Though these are not a new thing in this expansion, they can now be used along with cooked meat to make a new item called Forestry Rations, a storable item in the kit, which has a 30% chance to restore 20 run energy when chopping trees with a one-handed axe. The rate at which you get leaves can be doubled by utilizing a Secateur's attachment, which can be obtained by using an iron bar on a Secateur's blade, which is purchased from the forestry store. Note that the Secateur's attachment can be stacked and stored in your forestry kit. For the new random events, at any time while woodcutting, you have a chance to spawn a forestry exclusive random event. There are 4 in total: the Rising Roots, Flowering Tree, Leprechaun, and Struggling Sapling. All of these events aside from the Leprechaun give you extra woodcutting XP along with some additional rewards. We'll dig into each of these events in just a second, but just as a quick note, you don't need to be the one who spawns these events in order for you to do them. If someone else spawns these events around you, you are allowed to interact with them, unlike the existing world random events. Another nod to the social aspect of this expansion. For the Rising Roots, you just cut the roots that spawn, giving you anema-infused bark. The bark is one of the primary currencies used in the forestry store. For this to spawn, you'll need an axe. Which, I mean, if you don't have an axe, I have some bad news for you. The Flowering Tree event will spawn bees and flowers. Of the flowers that spawn, one of them will need pollen to help it bloom, and another will have pollen available for you to gather. Your job is to find the flower that will give you the pollen and the one that needs pollen. Once you find them, run back and forth between the 2, gathering and spreading the pollen. After a short amount of time, the flowers needing to be tended to will switch, and you'll need to find the unblossomed flower and pollinated flowers once again. Just keep running back and forth between those 2 flowers. Doing so will reward you with some anema-infused bark and seed. A bee on a stick is required for this random event, which can be made by purchasing powdered pollen from the forestry store and combining it with logs and a ball of wool near a beehive. This requires 35 woodcutting and 50 hunter to do so, so just make sure you have those skills prior. The Leprechaun is pretty simple. The Leprechaun will appear and bank your logs for you, saving you some valuable time. A Leprechaun charm is required for this random event, which can be made by purchasing a clover insignia from the forestry store and combining it with an emerald and a ball of wool. This requires 70 crafting, 70 woodcutting, and 35 farming to do so just be aware of those. The Struggling Sapling involves a small sapling spawning near you that needs help growing. All you need to do is create the right combination of mulch to feed the sapling before it dies. Close to where it spawns, there will be 3 piles of items: some rotting leaves, some bark, and some droppings. All you need to do is create the right combination of mulch by adding these 3 items in tandem until you have the perfect combination to feed the sapling before it dies. This is a lot like the soup game you have to do for Evil Dave during the Recipe for Disaster quest. as you will likely have times where you don't have the perfect combination. Luckily, as long as you feed the sapling something somewhat correct, you still get a little bit of partial credit here and a small reward. This will reward you with, you guessed it, Anima infused bark. This only requires that you have the required farming level for the event to spawn. So we've basically covered everything in the forestry kit, save for one item, the nature's offerings. These are created by purchasing ritual mulch from the forestry shop and combining them with a high tier herb, i.e. an avanto, quarm, catentine, iantodime, dwarfweed, or torstal. This requires 68 woodcutting and 50 farming to do so, just as an FYI. Well, I mean, that's the basics. Aside from one quick note, I was doing this recording with the Runelite plugin Entity Hider on, hiding all players and pets. I did this because if you have everything on your screen, especially early on in this expansion, it can be a bit chaotic to say the least. So just keep that in mind. The last thing here really is the rewards, which can be purchased from the forestry shops. All rewards are purchased using a combination of Anima infused bark and certain noted logs. There are 6 major rewards, or I guess sets of rewards. The lumberjack outfit, forestry outfit, log basket, log brace, clothes pouch with its blueprint, and the funky shaped log. The lumberjack outfit's not new, it's well known. It boosts your woodcutting skill by 2.5%. The forestry outfit, however, is a cosmetic override for the lumberjack outfit. Similar, if not the exact same idea as the angler's outfit from the fishing trawler minigame and the spirit angler's gear from the Temporos minigame. The log basket is used to store 28 additional logs in your inventory, similar to fish and the fish barrel, again a reward from Temporos. The log brace is an item that can be used to combine the forestry kit and log basket into the forestry basket, which basically ensures that you always have your log basket with your forestry kit. Just keep in order to use the log brace and make the sturdy harness, it does require 75 smithing and 75 wood cutting, along with 45 nails, 2 rope, and 3 addy bars. Those skill requirements can be pretty high for some people, so just be aware of them. The clothes pouch blueprint gives you the opportunity to craft a clothes pouch, which can store your lumberjack or forestry outfit in your kit. A nice bonus to this is you can keep the outfits in your kit and still get the bonuses while woodcutting, meaning you can keep up with your fashionscape and aren't required to wear the outfit itself. The clothes pouch does require you to have 50 crafting, 50 woodcutting, 1 thread, and 1 leather with you. The only caveat to this, at least right now, is as of today, which obviously it's just day 1, if you are wearing any piece of gear that has any kind of set bonus on it, it will nullify the boost from the woodcutting set. This will likely get patched out at some point in time, but just be aware of that because it is an issue that's been reported to the mods multiple times from what I've seen. Lastly, we have the funky shaped log, an item that when given to the woodcutting beaver pet unlocks some unique transmog options. Whew, man, as I was making this, I originally thought this would be pretty quick, but you have to give it to Jagex, man. This expansion is very subtly pretty decent sized. A lot of people seem to be somewhat, I guess, disappointed that the time and resources were spent on this expansion for woodcutting. But as someone who's played a game where players constantly complain about not revamping old content, I would say Jagex did a really good job here. They gave additional goals and perks to woodcutting while not straying away from the nostalgic roots this skill has always had. Either way, what are you most excited about with forestry? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe for future quick guides on new releases. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one.